listen, to speak to Africans, and to speak to those who are friends of Africans, and so on and so forth. In today's program, I'm focusing myself on African businesses, and lots of them go under every now and then, not just in the UK, but in Africa as a whole. What's the problem with the African businesses in Africa? And what's the problem with the African businesses here in the UK or in America or in other parts of the world? It's something that my guest today will probably have something more to say about, because he's been in the field for quite a long time. He's an authority, and please listen when he says whatever he says. If you're a business person, you'll be successful. His name is David Smith, and I welcome to the program. Welcome to the program. Yeah, David, I've called you an authority on the business. Tell us first about yourself, and then we can proceed.
Okay. My background is international, because when I was very young, my father was working for an international company in the agricultural sector, and he was posted first to Nigeria, then to Ghana. Then we lived in Mexico. We lived in the Philippines, and we lived down in South America behind you, in a place called Uruguay. Uruguay,
okay.
So over the first 18 years of my life, I got a very international introduction to this world and how it operates and what it does.
Yeah.
And I got a job in an advertising agency in Uruguay, so I was speaking Spanish.
Okay.
And I was running around being a messenger boy, and that's where my career started.
All right.
And it was fascinating because of all the things I got involved in. Different markets, different people, different products and services. And I came back to the UK because there was no way I could sustain myself if my family was not there, and I got a job. And for a long time I worked in the marketing industry in the UK in advertising agencies. And with large companies and small companies and individuals and all sorts. And then one day I was working with a technology company, and he called the boss called me into his office. He says, "David, you're head of marketing. Go out and find Ugandans."
Just like that.
Just like that. Yeah. You know? And it was in the run-up to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting
in Uganda.
Kampala.
Yeah, in Kampala, yeah.
And we were going to take our product there and launch it.
Yeah.
And it was quite interesting to work through the process of meeting Ugandans. Okay. Because they hide. They're not there waving the flag.
No.
At least they weren't in 2007.
They're not hiding now. I can assure you of that.
And I went to the High Commission and talked to them, and I found it very difficult to get hold of a mailing list or anything like that.
Okay.
There was no Chamber of Commerce. So
they've started one now. Yeah. It wasn't there then. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But so the issue is for a British company. How do we meet Africans?
Yeah.
We get on a plane, we fly to Africa, and that sort of disregards the 5.5 million Africans living here.
Yeah, in the UK. Yeah.
Anyway, so my background was marketing.
Okay.
How do you sell this? How do you sell that? How do you use television? How do you use radio? What role do posters play?
Yeah.
And one of the fun things that we did was we launched Lakeside Shopping Centre down in Thurrock.
Yeah, okay.
And we put posters telling people who shopped in Brent Cross, actually inside Brent Cross,
shopping centre. Yeah, to go to that one.
Go to Lakeside.
Yeah.
They didn't last very long. But for 3 months on the driveway in, as people were queuing to get into Brent Cross, we were advertising for them to go to Lakeside.
Okay.
So my background is
marketing
and communication and understanding business problems and trying to find ways of communicating solutions to those business problems.
Right. The thing is this: why Africa? I find it because I've had the people who really from here said, "Well, what am I going to do in Africa? What am I going to do in Africa? Let the Africans go there." Yeah.
Yeah, you should let the Africans go there, and the Africans should be going there. I mean, the senator from Nigeria I was with this afternoon was saying, how do we attract our people back to this country? And if you look at the expertise, if you look at the capital that's been created here by people who've been living here for some time,
Yeah.
the knowledge, the experience, the management capability,
Yeah.
and you transfer that back into an African context,
Yeah.
you're bringing great value to your community, wherever that community happens to be. So I fully support that initiative, and it's something that we're working on in British African Business Alliance, because when I talk to Africans about what they want to do, some of it is dream,
Okay.
some of it is practical planning, and some of it is I'm ready to go.
Ah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there are three stages.
Yeah.
And your question was leading to why do businesses fail?
Yeah. The first one, yeah.
Businesses
That's
fail
good. I was going to ask
because
that, yeah.
they haven't done the research.
Okay.
They don't understand their customers.
Yeah.
They're not delivering a service.
Yeah.
They're not consistent in what they're doing. They're not communicating what they're doing to the right people. I know from my experience that when you tell the right people the right story
Yeah.
at a time that they're looking for that particular product, they stop what they're doing and they go and buy your
Okay.
product.
I was more or less thinking that maybe the failures come from the fact that the Africans, especially the African businesses, don't know how to sell themselves to the Africans, because they probably know how to try and sell themselves to everybody, but not to the Africans. For example, the hair industry, you find that Malaysians, Filipinos, and Indians have occupied that industry more than the Africans.
Yeah.
And yet it's the Africans who are buying the hair products, the hair products. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think also there is an attitude
Oh, right.
amongst African customers
Okay.
that says, "Oh, that's an African product. I won't buy it."
Yeah, I won't buy it. Yeah.
And that's where you've got to be a little bit careful about blaming African businesses for not selling to African people, when actually the problem is African people not buying from African businesses.
Okay. Okay.
If you compare the Jewish pound to the
All
black
right.
pound,
Yeah. Yeah.
the Jewish pound goes around the Jewish
Yeah,
community
yeah.
many
Many
more
times,
times more than it goes.
Even the Indian, for
the
example.
Indians
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. In fact, virtually every community that is interested in self-supporting and generation
Yeah.
is going to spend money with its own
With its own community. But is it education? Do you think somewhere along the way
No,
it
I
could be
think
that our education, we need to try and see to it that the education that we have, we educate our own people to buy our products.
Exactly.
That's the key thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I go back to the business that I was working in,
Yeah.
it was about setting up agency arrangements with Ugandan businesses.
Oh, right.
And it was quite difficult to find Ugandan businesses that were capable of doing what we wanted them to do. Not because they weren't physically capable.
Maybe you're looking in the wrong areas.
But maybe we were.
Yeah, yeah.
But we were being led by Ugandan.
Oh, right. All right.
So
All right. Yeah.
through this process that I went through, I got to know and meet Ugandan business people. And gradually we began to build up
Okay.
a little bit of business, and that's where Africa started for me. It then went on to a stage where one of my Ugandan colleagues turned to me and said, "David, we have a problem in the African community in the UK. We're very fragmented.
Okay.
We don't have a chamber of commerce,
Yeah. Right.
and we're missing business every day of the week."
Yeah.
And if you then look at the African communities, I know of a Nigerian British chamber, I know of a South African chamber,
Yeah.
I know that some of the British Kenyan chambers from
Nairobi. Yeah.
are now trying to start a Kenyan chamber here.
Yeah. It's already here, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know a Ugandan chamber.
I think the last time I visited the embassy, I think they had upgraded one of the sectors at the embassy. I think they have somebody who deals with business directly. I like a
Okay.
business, kind
No,
of
no, I
business
can
secretary,
understand,
but,
like a
it's not
trade
really,
attaché.
a kind of a trade attaché,
Yes.
but not really the chambers as such. No,
Yeah.
it's not.
But you see, how many Ugandans are there in the UK? I did a little research.
Oh, they're quite a lot.
350,000 to 700,000.
All right, all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
We even have the Ugandan convention, the business convention, which takes place every year.
Yeah,
in,
very good,
in September.
very good.
Matenza does that,
Yes.
and it really brings in the business community together, even
Absolutely.
from Uganda. Yeah,
But it
even
does
from-
it once a year.
Yeah, it does. Oh, right.
And you know, if you supported a football club
Yeah.
and you went to one match a year,
Yeah.
how
yeah.
much support would you give them? if
Not a lot.
if you played cricket
Yeah.
with some people and you played one match a year,
Yeah, yeah.
how would you know your teammates?
You
and the diaspora, whether it's Ugandan or Nigerian or from Mozambique, they have the same issue,
Okay.
and that is that we don't know each other,
Yeah.
we don't know what we can do, and therefore we can't do anything.
My thinking is that who are we to blame now for this? Because
No. It's not a blame issue. It's not a blame issue.
Is it a cultural issue?
It's
Somewhere
a
in our
cultural-
culture, in
it's
our
a cultural
cultures?
issue.
Yeah.
It's a I've had my fingers burnt
Yeah,
issue.
yeah. I don't wanna-
I lost money. I was working with so and so. He took my money and did this and blah 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 blah. And there are some.
But
There are some stories that go around the community that
Yeah.
repeat themselves.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
you told me a story. I told my friend.
Yeah.
My friend now told his friend.
Yeah.
And suddenly the negative story that you
Yeah.
had is a whole reason not to do business.
Yeah.
And I think that what you've got to recognise, and I was looking at the figures for the UK as a whole, something like 80%
Yeah.
of UK businesses fail in the first 2 years.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's something that I explained.
So,
yeah.
so we shouldn't be saying to African businesses, you
Well,
guys are
with-
failing.
With the African business, I think it's the number is quite higher. People start businesses a year, and within 6 months, most of them are gone.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I have
But
an
that
African,
that
I
comes
have
with
an
it- with
African
with that-
accountant, and what he said to me, David, is start your business. As you start selling to your customers and you see that things are beginning to happen, then we'll talk about formalizing your business.
Oh really?
Okay?
Yeah.
And, you know, effectively you're doing market research.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I was selling you hair products,
Yeah.
I'd have a problem.
Yeah.
You don't use a lot of hair products.
Yeah, yeah,
No?
yeah.
So I'm selling it to the wrong place.
All right.
If I was selling to your wife, then she might be using it.
Okay. Okay.
But these are bits and pieces that are absolutely essential to anyone setting up their own business. Who's going to buy my product?
Yeah.
How much are they going to pay for it? And how much money do I make at the end of the day?
How about the question of perseverance? If something comes in, however much difficulties you're going to go through, and you say, no, I'll have to make sure that this whole thing survives. Maybe most Africans give up quickly, in a sense that within, if the money starts not coming in, tomorrow they run a mile.
but who can afford to keep something going that isn't working?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess you're right there. But
And therefore, a second issue is how much money are you putting behind your business?
yeah.
Okay, if you say this business has got to be successful in 6 weeks or
Yeah.
I'm giving it up,
Yeah.
and it's not successful, why keep it going for 12 weeks?
Ah.
Okay?
Yeah. And the money, of course,
in my
you're,
case,
you're
it's-
losing money. Yeah.
Yeah, in my case it's different because actually what I'm looking at is a community of Africans who have the power to influence what's going on at home.
Yeah.
And we're not going to change the mindset for someone who's 2 feet here.
Yeah.
They've got children in school. They've
Yeah.
got a 9 to 5. When are they going to set up? When do
Yeah.
they have time to set up a business in Africa?
Unless the kids are grown up and already left home, and by then it's
Absolutely.
probably going to be too late.
Yeah. But then let me bring remittances into that. Because isn't there a week where someone rings you and says, please send me 100.
Yeah.
I need
yeah.
100 today. Mummy's sick.
Yeah.
The school fees need paying.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
needs doing.
Yeah.
Very often an emergency.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so it can't be counted as investment.
No, it can't.
No.
It can't. No.
How about reverse remittances? That you buy a piece of equipment, you empower your family to run that equipment and to make money in their own community.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So imagine a village in any part of Africa without ice.
Yeah.
If you could buy a freezer that would make ice,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
then suddenly you can sell the ice to people and they can have cold drinks, they can keep their fresh food fresh longer.
Yeah.
The butcher has ice to keep the meat fresh, the chicken fresh, all of those sorts of things.
Okay.
But it comes from you making a decision to put a freezer there.
Yeah, understand. But there is one thing, as an African and a Ugandan, I know this. If, for example, what you said is important, but the key thing is that we also have the governments to blame on the other hand. I know I don't want you to say we have to get out of the blame game, but if you're trying to set up something in one of your villages, there are taxes there. There are things which they will look at. If there have been nothing to tax in that village, and suddenly they realize Stephen has set up a factory, or he has done this, he has done that. At the end of the day, they end up giving you taxes, and there are lots of grudges left and right over issues that maybe it's land, maybe someone else was trying to do the same business and so on. These negativities always put us down. And this is where the governments would come in. And this is where people like you, if you've been to the African governments and said, we could do this. The Chinese have now moved in. They are doing certain things that Africans would have done a long time ago, but they are not having any grudges with the Africans because they don't have a problem with the Africans. But our fellow Africans have grudges with, that kind of thing. So how do we overcome that? I know it's a difficult question to ask a person like you.
Well, no, it's not, because I come up against this on a regular basis.
It
really does depend on what you're going to do.
Okay.
So if you're going to bake bread. You're going to get up early in the morning, bake bread. People come buy bread from you and they go home. And, okay, you will make some money out of doing that and you'll pay some taxes out of doing that.
Of course, yeah.
Are you keeping books? Can you prove that this is what you've sold? Then they can't tax you on what you haven't sold. Okay? But if you don't keep the books... How can you say to the taxman, oh no, I only made $1,000.
You see,
the Mercedes outside is not mine, it belongs to my wife.
No, David, the problem is the tax system in Africa is, trust me, maybe
it is demanding.
It
is demanding, but there are also countries in Africa where there is no tax system. And I think that what you've got to look at, you're used to the UK. Your listeners, your viewers are used to the UK. In the UK, 80%, 82, 83% of the businesses in the country. Let me get this right. 99% of the businesses in this country are small and medium-sized businesses. Okay? The 82% is a different figure from a different analysis that I've done. So 99%. So when you walk out of your office, when you walk out of your house, all the way around you are services being provided by small and medium-sized businesses. For some reason, that doesn't happen so much in Africa. Okay? And what people are thinking is that the government is going to stop me being a baker. Okay? And there's a negativity around that. Now, another problem with setting up a business is that there's no electricity to run your computer to do your books on. And there's no water to wash your hands after you've used the lavatory because there is no lavatory. Okay? So these are basic services that are missing, and you could say it's the government's fault that they're missing, but also you haven't generated the wealth to build the house with the water.
Those things are supposed to be.
And to put those things in place.
Now,
quickly before I go on. Sorry, quickly before you interrupt me. We have a product in Sussex that comes in a shipping container.
All right.
It will produce 220 kilowatts of electricity. 600 litres of water per hour.
Wow.
and it will have an internet or communications connection.
Okay.
So there is no village in Uganda, there's no village in sub-Saharan Africa that needs to be without power.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if that solar power is not what you want, you can get a little generator, and that will do some of your power.
Okay. How much would that machine cost? Because you look at the costs now.
Yes.
Cost effectiveness of that machine.
Absolutely.
How much would it cost?
You would break even in 3 years, approximately.
Okay.
It'll cost about £100,000.
Yeah, but you're looking at an African village somewhere.
No. You're looking at a community of people who are living without the basic resources that you need to run your business.
Yeah.
You mean if you don't give them electricity, they won't read their books?
Yeah. No, they will.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
You get my.
But what we're talking about is brave people, understanding what the issues are, and then getting together.
Yeah.
Maybe for me it's difficult to put forward 100,000, but me and 10 of my friends.
If it's the whole community, then they can come together, raise the money.
Yeah.
And
the alternative is to wait 20 years for the government to put a pylon. And funnily enough, where I live in the UK, there's a great furor because they're going to spend £11 million refurbishing 50 pylons.
Wow.
If you take the size of Africa, and this is the heart of your problem, no one understands the size of Africa because the maps that we've been used to looking at have physically reduced the size of Africa by about 3 times.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you were to say run a cable from Mombasa to Kampala, that's a lot of cable.
Of course.
It's a lot of pylons.
Yeah.
And someone has to pay for that.
Yeah.
But the people in Kampala don't need electricity from Mombasa.
No, they don't. They already.
Exactly.
They already have it. Yeah.
And then you sort of say, well, there's no point in doing it.
Yeah.
And I was talking with a guy who was a specialist in telecommunications, and he was saying there's no way satellite is affordable.
Yeah.
And yet there's a British company that has put a satellite above Africa that is now providing discounted satellite to every village in Uganda.
There is Ghana has a satellite that went in air. When did it go? A couple of, I think last year, but one. Ghana dealt with that as well. So, having said that, I want to come back now to. By the way, David is chairman of the British African Alliances.
Business Alliance.
Business Alliances.
Yes.
That means you are liaising with the African businesses here in the UK and in Africa.
Yeah.
And when you look at the failures and success of African businesses, because this is where we want to see our weaknesses and we want to see where our strength is.
Yeah.
And you're the right person to let us know. Because there has to be, we've discussed some of these, but there has to be somewhere in between if we are to be successful. What have we got to get right?
You've got to do the research.
That's one thing.
You've got to put the right money behind your business.
Okay.
And so when you're thinking about your business and what you're going to do, how long can you exist without selling anything?
All right.
And then how much do you have to sell to pay for your daily costs?
Okay.
So you have to sell 20 boxes a day.
Yeah.
If you're only selling 2 boxes a day, you're missing 18 sales a day. What are you going to do about that? Where are you going to find those customers?
Okay.
So getting the research right and getting the right amount of money behind your product, or your service, whatever it is, in the first place are 2 of the major issues that businesses fail on.
Okay.
And then communication.
All right. Communication is the third one.
If you're not advertising on the television channel to say this is my product, you're not telling people about your product if they're listening to television.
Yeah.
If they're listening to radio, if they're reading the newspaper or looking at posters.
Okay.
How do they find out about what you're doing?
Yeah.
A little card in a newsagent's window is very cheap.
Yeah.
But you can find someone who will be a cleaner. You will find someone who's got a bike for sale. that whole area of communication is absolutely critical.
Maybe this needs to be reintroduced in African schools or something like that, because when listening to that, because the next generation of Africans is in schools.
Yes.
And it's a question of what they are learning at school.
Absolutely.
And then this is where it either falls on you and I.
Yeah.
Can we introduce this to schools?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And that idea.
One of the projects that we're working on is vocational training for young people.
Okay.
And this sort of sits on the edge of secondary school and as an alternative to university. How do we teach people to be carpenters? How do we teach them to be electricians? How do we teach them to prepare plumbing and do drainage? If we don't put them into a college where they can learn those skills. So sometimes when you go to an African house, you find, or an African hotel, you find that the door doesn't fit properly. The pipes aren't hidden behind the tiles. All of these little things, because someone has not been trained to do it.
Well, the government will say we have technical schools. In Uganda, we have several, Kenya and Tanzania, there are several technical schools that are teaching most of this stuff. But maybe they're not doing a good job.
Maybe they're not in the right places.
Okay.
Maybe they're doing a good job for the 1,000 pupils that they can put through in a term. But there aren't enough of those schools. If you look at technical colleges and vocational training in the UK, you can find somewhere in virtually every town where you can go and learn those skills. And if you look at London, adult education courses are everywhere.
But you're meeting African leaders, you're meeting African politicians, you're meeting African business people, and this message needs really to go across to them. And do you find difficulty in expressing this? Because you've just met a Nigerian senator recently. What do you talk about with these people? These are the kind of things that...
In that particular case, there were 3 specific projects that we had to discuss, and I came away with those 3 to take forward, and 2 additional projects, because when he was talking to me, it triggered 2 thoughts in his memory of projects that he would like to see done. So suddenly the politician is turning around and saying, this is interesting. So if we could do that, could we do this? And that then is a project that needs to go through a planning process. And this is what we're trying to do with British African, to say to African business leaders in the UK, come together. Start talking about the projects that you have in mind. Don't worry that Joe is going to steal your project. Because Joe will never do it as well as you do it. Because he doesn't understand what you know about your own market. However, Fred can help you, and Bill can help you, and Ernest can help you. And by using the skills of those other people, by employing them as partners or suppliers or advisors, you make your own project stronger. You can then attract the investment for your project. So take the juice trailer that I was telling you about as we were talking before. So this is a company in Wiltshire. They specialize in processing vegetables and fruits and what have you. So you could buy this trailer and you could take it to a number of villages in Uganda and collect the fruit and process the fruit and end up with juice.
I'll look into that.
Exactly.
I'm going to look into that.
How does it get to Uganda? And these are the sorts of things that are on the doorstep of people in the diaspora community, but they don't know how to find them. And that's why we're saying, business people, come together. We've got a guy in Camden, so just down the road here. He runs a solar business. Solar panels. So, well, more than that, it's a solar business. He has a model where you can make a factory making LED bulbs.
LED bulbs,
So you can sell 1 million bulbs a year. How much is an LED bulb in Uganda? And you begin to start thinking, okay, well, that's how much I can sell. $1 each, $1 million. how much is it going to cost to set up that factory? Maybe 100,000, maybe 200,000, maybe 300,000.
Yeah.
And suddenly you're talking about a $700,000 profit.
Yeah, David, you're talking about £100,000, and an average African businessman here in the UK or any other person who is working, that amount of money is a lot of money. If we are talking in terms of £10,000 or something like that, because having worked experience here to try and raise that or even get the money from the bank, unless you sell your mortgage or something, you sell your house or something like that,
that's how
to
they
get
make
that.
money.
The thing is, which I always ask my European friends and English friends, is the fact that in this country, the whole issue of a family, dealing with the family, because we have that issue so much at home. You may want to do all these investments, and you go down there, you want to do this investment, but you have a family, and that family could be the one that probably lets you. I'm not being negative here. Lets you down. These are things that. How did the English people overcome these structures? Because they were there in the 18th century and so on. They must have.
Absolutely.
There must be a way of dealing with it. You just cut yourself from them and you don't deal with them at all. What do you do?
Well, I think that this is where I was talking about reverse remittances.
Yeah.
And actually you look at what needs to be done in that particular community.
Okay.
And then you identify the nephew who has the skills, the brother-in-law who has the skills.
Yeah.
And you enable them to run their business.
Yeah.
So
or their own business, so that they don't come into your business.
No,
they're running their own business.
They're running their own business.
Okay.
And you're the investor.
Yeah.
And they are paying you back.
Okay.
So imagine the freezer, for example.
You'll be lucky to get that money back.
But are they asking you for $100 a week?
Yeah.
And you can always say to them, that's my machine.
Yeah.
That's my business you're running.
I need my money.
And okay, maybe you're pulling his leg.
Yeah.
But actually what he's doing is providing for his family.
Yeah.
And providing for his community. And if you're not thinking about it in terms of the community, we have a question. What do I need? What does my community need? What can I do and make a profit?
Yeah.
Okay? So you could bake, you could provide ice.
Yeah.
You could provide accountancy services.
Yeah.
You could provide all sorts of different services to a community depending on what type of community. I was telling you about my friend Ida and her Let Them Help Themselves project.
Okay.
That is 9 years.
That's something I've got to look into. Yeah.
9 years of consistent, thoughtful engagement with a community that has increased revenues by 300%. I mean, would you like a 300% rise?
Of course I would. Of course I would. I got some experience as well. I took a crew of Al Jazeera television to my village in Bosunju, and they filmed the village. They did, what does the village need? Because ideally, the village, it's there on the internet. The village needed a borehole. Then we needed a small hospital for women. We needed, a house for a doctor. And so on and so forth. Now, several things were, after the filming, of course, money was left behind to do certain things. But I faced a bit of a challenge with an MP of the area. The questions of this and that, and I said, no. My aim was to see how this village can be helped. And in the process is such that when we film, instead of the money going to the government, some of the money that's going to go will go to the people, and we come back in 6 months' time and you see the development. Some kids, I think, were sent. Several kids actually got, money for school fees to be sent to various schools where they needed help, and of course the various donations that were given by the Al Jazeera company, which was quite good. But the thing is the interference from the politician was a major issue that I discovered on that. And it's so nice, as we are saying here about these projects and so on, but it's a question of overcoming these people. Do we simply feed the people back? We empower the people. And if the politician come in and try to ask questions and say, hey, no, this is our project. as you are saying with the IDA project.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the people's project.
Yeah.
And none of the top people can interfere in that.
Well, the people who think they're missing out on a cut that they believe is theirs are always going to interfere.
Yeah.
But actually, the issue for Africa as a whole, and for certain economies in particular, is the development of the SME sector.
Yeah.
Okay? So how can you develop the SME sector? You start providing services to communities that people will buy. Whether it's tailoring, whether it's agriculture, whether it's food processing, etc., etc., etc. You build it from one shop.
Okay.
Sainsbury's was one shop.
Then
Waitrose was one shop.
They'll grow up to be bigger.
Exactly.
Then. Yeah.
And it was because they were understanding what people wanted that they were able to grow. Now, I heard a big boss man from Unilever talking about business in Kenya.
Okay.
And there was this film that we'd been shown, and this man started his business as a shoe shine. And then he set up a cobbler's.
Yeah.
And then he got a motorbike. And then he had 3 businesses going.
Yeah.
Because he had someone doing the shoe shine, he had someone doing the cobblers, and he was going around taking people on the motorbike. Okay. And the big boss man from Unilever was saying, and why is he not doing it in the next village? He's not doing it in the next village because there's no way he can control the money in that village if he's in this village. Yeah. And if he's in that village, he can't control the money in this village. And these are the issues that sit at the heart of the corruption problem. They sit at the heart of, whose money is this anyway?
Yeah.
And how do you generate the wealth that these people need? And for hundreds of years, that wealth has been taken away.
Yeah.
The governance system has been feudal. You look to the head of the village to advise you on everything.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, if we look at Kenya in 2008 and the riots and the political unrest that there was, because the tribalism and the thinking behind that unrest was not economically sound.
Of course not. Yeah.
And people lost their jobs because tourists didn't go there because they were frightened.
Yeah.
And they learnt.
Yeah.
And since then, generally, the elections have been
very
more
peaceful.
peaceful.
Yeah.
Okay? But it's because I remember that I lost my job
that
I'm not going to go out with my machete.
Yeah. And do that.
Exactly. And these are lessons, you were talking about education earlier, that are needed. But also, if you take a young person and you give them the opportunity to be rewarded well for something that they do well, you begin to change the mindset.
Yeah.
And this is where we need the expertise and the management and the understanding of people who've lived in this community.
Of course,
to be able to explain that in their own communities. And it's not easy. You can't just give people money.
No, you can't. You can't do that. Germany and I think France or Italy, the European Union, before all the British exit started up, there was a policy which I think is being empowered in Ghana, where they get a number of business people who would like to invest in Africa. And what they do is that, in fact, they send somebody there. So, for example, like in my village, and he goes there, he does research of what is needed. And if there is any major things that is to be invested in that village, it's that person's responsibility to make sure that the business is set up and it's running, and the money comes through that person, and it becomes, it starts being productive to the entire village. Now, that structure was there with the EU, and I think it went to Ghana and I think 1 or 2 other countries in West Africa. It was a pilot scheme, and it became successful. As a business person who's dealing with businesses, is there any way that your alliance could think in terms of getting business people to do that? Because that would be a huge encouragement to the African businesses, to in villages.
Yeah, but
can that happen?
Yeah, it can happen, but you need the motivation in the place.
Ah, right.
And you need to explain to people. I mean, I've not heard of that project before today.
It's way years ago before. I'm trying to remember now because I interviewed somebody from Ghana, a cocoa grower from Ghana, on radio, and he was telling me part of the money that they had got had come in because the man, it's some kind of a business setup, which where Europe, in fact, it says if you are buying cocoa or if you are buying a product that we are buying from any African countries like oranges and so on, they're doing it in Kenya now. They need to know that product is coming to them anyway. They are the buyers. They need to get to a grip of it to know exactly what they are buying. Yeah. So is it a good product? Is it are the people not being damaged while growing this product? They do the same for bananas in Brazil and so on. Yeah. So it was there.
But some of the best bananas come from Uganda.
I know. But what I'm trying to get at is that David, you as David and your alliance could say, okay, we are going to Busunju, for example, in my village. We are setting up something in Busunju. As for starters, if it starts rising and raising as an example, then the others will follow. Can that happen?
Yeah, it can happen.
Yeah.
But because of our orientation, which is to be diaspora-led, I'd be saying to people from Busungu, this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
So let's take that for example.
Because
let's just take that for example. Last week I was in Manchester with a young man. Who has a platform which he is using to explore problems, tasks, and projects.
Wow, that's good.
Okay.
Is he Ugandan?
He's not. He's actually sort of an American Nigerian. But when you start looking at it in that way, you could post on his website, this is my problem. We're growing oranges and we've got nowhere to sell them. And then someone else could come along and say, the task is to put in a juice pressing plant, or a marmalade making factory, or any of those things. And then the project is to put that task together as an investable project. And as soon as you put it on the internet, then people from Busoga in the United States, in France, in Japan, in Australia, in Brazil, can come together and put their 5,000, whatever it is that is required to make that thing go forward. So, hang on, this is a student, a young man at university in Manchester, very, very intelligent guy. Okay, and he's come up with this plan. And actually, it's a way of bringing people together. And it will be better if they were to meet. And one of the things that I like about what we're doing is that we're bringing people together. When we meet in Manchester tomorrow night, I anticipate somewhere between 40 and 50 people turning up. Maybe 15 or 16 different countries. All talking about the development opportunities that they are trying to bring forward. So I've been talking about the health service this afternoon with a gentleman from Nigeria. Tomorrow evening I will be with a Ugandan lady whose priority is to set up the first pediatric hospital
in Uganda,
in sub-Saharan Africa, in Uganda, in her community. Now, there's got to be a way that we can get people behind that. And you were talking about schools earlier and what have you. There's a company that we've done some work with. They're called Peas. I don't know whether you've ever...
Peas?
Yes. Promoting Equality in African Schools.
Promoting equality
Promoting
equality in African schools. You got that,
They built 28 secondary schools in Uganda in 8 years.
You're joking?
With no engagement from the Ugandan community at all, whether there's 350 or 700,000.
I'm behind in most of these things. I'm supposed to know this.
But you see, the community is fragmented. And it's not talking about the issues that need to be addressed. And it's not finding out what's being done well. And therefore, if you could find out what's being done well in Ghana and bring it to Uganda, you would have to adjust certain things for cultural reasons and what have you. But it's incredibly powerful to know that it worked there,
Yeah.
and that it has the potential to work here.
Of course. Now, I want to find out, how does the British government comes in? Because we get a lot of donation from Oxfam, from all these other organizations, the non-governmental organizations, people donating.
Yeah.
We got Live Aid, which has been donating a lot of money that's going. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, your business alliance could deal directly with these people and say, hang on a minute, some of the money, because we were complaining in my group at one time and said, look, the money that has been going into certain projects in Africa, it shouldn't really go there because it disappears into politicians' pockets.
Exactly.
And if they had the way of, say, people like you or people who are organizing and say, hey, we've got people, even from diaspora, who can come in and be part of those projects.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there a way that you can go into the British government, since you're an African Alliance, say, company, and see if we can persuade them the millions and millions of dollars that
Exactly. Can I
could
come
do
back
something?
on the can I come back on the fragmentation a
Yeah.
second?
Okay.
There's a project I worked on 2 years ago. I was invited to be one of the dragons.
One of the dragons.
Yeah. In a Dragon's Den style
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
Where the British government put up £600,000,
Yeah.
and it was looking to start 20 businesses. Okay, not very many.
20 businesses in Africa.
In Africa.
Yeah.
And it was going to work with the owners of those businesses and give them a grant of £30,000 each.
Oh, right.
You had to put up 7,500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the project failed.
And the project failed.
The project failed. We
Why
did
did it
not get 20 businesses funded.
Why did that happen?
Because not enough businesses came forward and submitted their details, and those that did, the business models that they were proposing were not robust enough and didn't get approved by the dragons like me for approval to go forward.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you about this, because Uganda's not part of it. Rwanda is part of it.
Yeah.
Sierra Leone is part of it, Nigeria is part of it, and Zimbabwe is part of it.
Okay.
So out of 4 African countries,
Yeah.
we didn't get 20 businesses.
How could that happen?
And yet, here's a check for 30,000. Now, when I say you're fragmented and you're not coming together to address the issues, that's an example of the British government putting money to do it. Now, the British government has a problem with how it qualifies the businesses.
Okay. Okay.
So they've put £3 billion with the World Bank for the World Bank to invest in Ugandan and developing countries' banks to stimulate the SME sector.
Yeah, the economies. Yeah, yeah.
That's your tax. We're talking about tax.
Yeah, yeah.
That's your tax. It's going back into
Uganda.
Into Uganda and other countries through the World Bank.
Yeah.
Why are they not doing much funding with you? These are the questions that need to be asked. So why we are concentrating on bringing business people together is because we're not wanting to have the negative conversations about this isn't happening, that's not happening. What we're looking to do is to find the eager minds that have the ideas that says we should be able to do this. We should be able to set up a program that enables this to happen.
Can that dragon then be repeated? And this time, can it be repeated?
They're the ones with the money.
Yeah. If we had known about it, honestly, you can't tell me you can't find 20 businesses that present a good model to work in Africa.
But I was part of promoting it. Ford were part of promoting it and ran it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, there were submissions that came in, but they hadn't been thought through. Now, you started this conversation this evening by saying, why is it that businesses fail? Because they've not thought through their business plan.
Okay, the research, they haven't done enough research yet.
They haven't done the research. They don't know what it's going to do. They don't know how it's going to work. They aren't keeping books. There are lots of issues around the business management that people don't know and don't understand. In the same way, there are many very, very successful business people in Africa, even in local communities, where they're able to manage what they're doing in such a way that they're generating wealth for themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Because
And I think one of the difficulties we have to get over is the anti-political
okay,
rhetoric that goes on
yeah,
around, oh, this is the wrong government, that is the wrong president.
yeah.
We have to wait until someone
When-
new is
yeah,
here
comes in, yeah.
before you start baking bread.
No, you can't.
It's not the way.
Yeah,
You have to be careful about what you choose to do. You choose to go and start a gold mine,
yeah,
then you need your license.
Yeah.
You need to be thinking about the impact on the environment.
yeah,
There's a major issue in Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire at the moment because the gold mining on one side of the border is polluting the water on the other side.
on the other side of the border, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's no good.
No, it's not.
On the other hand, the gold mining industry is not well structured.
Yeah,
It's difficult for people who are doing artisan mining to find somewhere to sell at a good price the gold that they've got.
yeah,
So there is a certain amount of structuring to be done as those markets mature.
okay, okay.
But let me give you an example. I spoke to a man in Malawi. He doesn't have $120 million.
He doesn't have 120.
No,
yeah,
he doesn't.
Yeah,
But I'm talking to him about a $120 million project.
okay,
Okay.
okay. Uh-huh.
He
How is
has-
that coming about?
He has the expertise
Yeah.
to be able to run a certain type of business. He knows that market.
Yeah, yeah,
We have a company in Europe who have a piece of equipment that they don't want anymore.
okay, all right. I see the point.
Okay?
Yeah,
So I'm talking with the High Commissioner of Malawi,
yeah,
and he says, oh, you need to talk to X.
yeah,
I have a conversation with X. We now have the equipment, we have the market opportunity, we have the management in place, and through the High Commissioner we have the political will.
okay, okay.
So that's an $120 million project that
Yeah.
can now go ahead,
Yeah,
to the stage of asking someone for the $120 million
to fund it.
to fund it.
Yeah,
Okay? Because we are confident in the management,
yeah,
because we're confident in the technology, because we're confident in the raw material that they're going to be processing. And that came together today
yeah. That's great.
with
That's-
one conversation.
Yeah,
It's been taken 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get that conversation together.
yeah,
And it'll take probably another 3 to 4 months for
Okay.
it to get to a stage where it actually matures into a business.
yeah, yeah,
But that's something that happened in Europe, impacting that something could happen in Malawi.
In Malawi, yeah.
But it happened through British African getting involved and identifying people who were able to help bring pieces of that puzzle together. Now, if you're sitting in your room,
Yeah.
in your front room, and you're not part of that conversation, you're not going to be part of the puzzle.
Of course, you won't at all. Yeah,
You'll be
you-
watching Tottenham.
Be careful, because you might get hurt. Well, before you leave the studio, you've said something at the beginning in connection with the Africans in diaspora who haven't contributed. Well, of course, they contribute by sending money back home and so on. But when it comes to issues that are to do with investment back in Africa, they probably need a push. And that's where they probably need a push from organizations like yours. For example, if you say, we want to do such and such a business in Uganda, for example, are there Ugandans who are willing to come in and do such and such a business? There is money here to be borrowed and so on. If you submit something nice. That's why I'm still going back to that project which we lost. Yeah.
Well, we have 3 levels at which we try and engage with our members. If you have your own project to bring forward,
Okay.
we will put in place non-disclosure agreements and we'll discuss your project with you
All right.
and see what needs to happen to bring that to fruition.
All right. All right.
Okay, that's one level.
Okay.
We will also talk to you about what we call ready-made businesses. We call them entrepreneurs packs.
All right.
So like the freezer that makes half a ton of ice every day. You buy that, you pour water in the freezer, you turn it on, 2 hours of electricity, 2 hours in the evening, 2 hours in the morning. Okay? and you have 500 kilos of ice. How much is ice a kilo?
I hope
Uganda?
I hope the Chinese haven't already brought them back there, because they.
Well, the trouble, you've got to have something that is robust enough for the market.
Okay.
This is a freezer that comes out of South Africa.
Okay.
They've been making refrigeration equipment since 1970.
Right. Yeah.
What they don't know about refrigeration in Africa isn't worth knowing.
Yeah.
Okay. They have a freezer that will last for 4 days without electricity.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If power's a problem. So you look at that. We've got another company, they make a concrete block making machine. You can take it to any village.
Yeah.
You can mix your sand, cement, your gravel together, and you can make blocks.
Okay.
You'll save 30 to 40% on the cost of the blocks that you buy in the market in your country.
Yeah.
Okay? You can build your own house.
Of course.
By building a decent house on a decent plot of land, what happens to the value of the land? The value of the land goes up.
Yeah. In the area, yeah.
Exactly. You can build a factory. You can build a school. You can build a clinic. So actually, some people getting together and putting £5,000 on the table with a company in Birmingham and taking this machine back to their village and building those things is changing the life of that village.
Of course.
And adding value to the land and to the buildings in that area.
The standard of living and everything, yeah.
Exactly. It's in Birmingham. How does it get to Uganda? How does it get to Mozambique? How does it get to Namibia?
Yeah.
You've got to go to Birmingham. Where in Birmingham? Oh, I'll tell you exactly.
Yeah.
So this is what we're doing. We're bringing people together with projects that are ready-made businesses. And then there's the third area. So a UK company, never been to Uganda before in its life.
Yeah.
How does it go there and sell agricultural stimulants? Okay? They're based in a little place called East Grinstead.
Okay.
They have a natural product, has 137 natural ingredients.
Yeah.
And you put it on your fruit and vegetables and what have you, and it increases the yield.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
They have no distributor in Uganda. Would you like to be the distributor? No, this is a serious question.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. We have another company in Liverpool.
Yeah.
They sell 100 million units of their product in Nigeria. They sell nothing in Uganda.
Yeah.
Would you like to be their distributor?
Yeah.
So there is a role where people in the diaspora can either take on these responsibilities, we call them market opportunities, and be the distributor for product X or Y or Z for a UK company that is never going to set up a business in Kampala.
In Kampala.
And actually, from a diaspora point of view, it's even better than that.
Yeah.
Because you're here. Okay, you can go and sit in their boardroom and talk to them about their product and learn and know everything about it.
Yeah. That's
And
the
it's
next
your
thing.
brother,
That's probably the next thing
it's
I've
your
got to do.
cousin,
Yeah.
Or your uncle is the kingpin of that market in your country.
Yeah.
So Britain is looking to replace Europe as a market.
Yeah.
Africa is overwhelming with its demand for growth. We've got people swimming across the Mediterranean Sea because they've seen the car that you're driving on Facebook. I mean, it really is as critical as that.
I know. There are two things here, which much as I'm always a very positive person, and I don't believe in negativity. Well, to a certain extent, it comes in when a politician, realism, exactly, that's the word. All those things are real, and my belief is such that it's easier for you, for example, if you had to go to Uganda tomorrow with all these products we have talked about, if the companies want to increase and say, look, there are people in Uganda who, if you take these products to Uganda and say, look, I'm marketing these products, or in Ghana or wherever you're going to take them, the people would buy them. But if I had to go there with the political side, the political problems that we normally face, the chances that a minister somewhere or any other person, and I'm being very positive here because I've seen a couple of my colleagues who have tried to do certain things in my own country and in other parts of Africa, and in the end they end up being frustrated by the politician. So to a certain extent, they end up by, I mean, personally, I faced it as well when I took the Al Jazeera cameraman and crew to Uganda.
Yeah.
So these are things that we faced, but we have to overcome them
Yeah.
in order to succeed. But at the
Absolutely.
same time, saying, if your alliance can do something of this nature and say, you know where these products are, and you can go to these product companies and say, I'm David Smith, I'm taking this machine to Uganda. Can you fund me to take this machine? And I'll get you a market for this machine to be doing this in Uganda. I'll be your representative and do this. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Because they're going to listen to you. They probably won't listen to me.
Well, that's why we have formed British African Business Alliance.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
bring the power of the diaspora together.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, who it is that actually goes and talks to them about
Okay,
it
okay.
comes down to: is it me? Is it
yeah,
you? Is
yeah.
it someone else in the team?
Yeah.
But it's
Because I'm more than willing to go with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But the point is
Yeah.
that the members of British African are the people who drive what goes on.
Ah.
Okay.
Okay. I see your point.
I can't tell you what to do in Busungu.
In Busunju, yeah.
I can't tell you.
No.
I don't know. I've never been there.
Yeah.
I can tell you what we've done in Ruhanga.
Yeah.
No, we haven't done. What
Okay.
Ida has done.
Okay.
And so those sorts of things of case histories.
Yeah.
And this is where we come back to education.
Yeah.
If you know that someone has set up a business doing something successfully,
Yeah.
and you've been able to talk to them about it, you have more power.
Yeah.
You have more understanding. You're more confident about looking at how you might do that yourself. Okay, so I went into Waitrose at a Shell station in Leeds last year,
Yeah.
and an avocado was £1.98. and in Uganda, those avocados are rotting on the floor.
I know. That's why I was laughing. Yeah.
And the
Because
bananas.
Kenyans have started exporting them to China now, and they come from Uganda to be exported to China. I read about that, and I said, "What is going on?" Yeah,
Well,
it's quite a big shame. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
But by the same token,
yeah,
they're your fruit.
yeah.
In Manchester, we were eating sun-dried mango from Uganda last month.
Yeah,
And everyone was saying, "Wow, this is fabulous."
yeah. Because
And it's about putting the right capabilities in place, the management capability, the expertise capability.
yeah,
The financial capability is available.
yeah.
There are people who are funding. Let me finish this little bit by talking about chickens from Brazil.
Yeah.
Now, there's a little country called South Sudan, not too far from Uganda.
Yeah, of course.
And we have a member from South Sudan in Manchester, and he called me to go for a meeting with him with a company in Huddersfield.
Yeah.
The company in Huddersfield have put 50 chicken farms into sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
What they don't know about chicken farming isn't worth knowing.
Yeah.
So, currently the chickens fly from Brazil. They
Good.
come out frozen. They are $10 for 1.5 kilos
That's in South Sudan.
in South Sudan, in Juba.
Yeah.
And we can grow chickens in Juba for about $4.60.
Wow.
Now, it's taken someone who knows that market to do
Yeah.
the research, to understand what's going on,
Yeah.
to sit down and say, okay, there's a way in which I can solve a problem for my community
Yeah.
because there isn't enough protein.
Ah.
Okay.
Okay.
I can make a profit for myself by doing this, by
Yeah.
bringing this expertise and putting it in place.
Yeah.
And the third benefit is that I'm actually taking exports of chicks
Yeah.
from Kampala.
Yeah. In Kampala.
From Kampala.
Ah, really?
Okay, because there is already
In the market, they're already there. Yeah. They're already
the
there.
company in Huddersfield knows that those chicks are available in Kampala,
Kampala.
because they've set the hatchery up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and what amazed me is it's only a 6-hour drive to Juba now.
Yeah.
And you sort of think, how can that be right? It's
yeah.
got to be 12.
Yeah.
But, these are African business leaders coming together to solve problems and to look at how they can deal with something in their own communities.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Okay, that's great.
And the strength is with you. It's not with me.
Yeah, all right.
I'm happy to go to Wiltshire and knock on the door and find the juice machine.
Okay.
Someone's got to tell me about it.
I was just trying to push you around anyway and see whether you probably end up saying, Stephen, don't worry, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to.
I can only deal with what my members bring me
right.
to deal with.
David, we're coming to the end of the program, and it's been a privilege to have you here and explaining to me and to the Africans who are tuned in about these businesses, and I'm sure so many of them are going to maybe get in touch with you, or maybe get in touch with the Alliance as far as this is concerned. And they're Ugandans, they're Kenyans, they're Nigerians, they're Ghanaians, they're here in the diaspora in large numbers who really want to do positive things back home. And of course, we try to get the negativities out of the way.
Yeah.
Any last thing of what we could do? Any say any last messages, for example, on some
the message with business
work hard.
The message with business is always conservative with a small c.
Okay.
You have to get your thinking straight.
All right.
You have to understand your market.
Yeah.
And then you have to bring a proposition that people respond to.
Yeah. Okay.
Test.
Yeah.
Research. Try. Prove. Test.
That's great. I'll take that message with me, and I hope everybody has taken that message. I just want to thank you very, very much for coming to our studio and explaining all this to us. It's been a privilege, and I do hope that the message has gone across, and a lot will come out. I believe they will. I just want to thank Omega TV for, of course, the sponsorship of this program, and I look forward to next week's program. David, thank you once again, and may God bless you all.